Welcome to Pardon the Oppo, American Bridge's oppositional take on races big and small across the country. I'm Julie McLean Downey, Vice President of Strategic Communications at American Bridge, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Alexandra DeLuca, who runs comms for state and gubernatorial races here at Bridge. Alex, talk to me about Secretary of State races. Why should voters care when there are Senate and gubernatorial races happening all across the country?
Hey, Julie, our Secretaries of State control our elections. They're the ones responsible for making sure that every American has access to the democratic right to vote. Or if you're a Republican, they're the ones responsible for rigging the election and slashing voting rights and making sure Donald Trump wins the 2024 election by any means necessary.
So every state has Secretaries of State, but American Bridge is focusing on a few specific states this cycle. Which ones and why?
Yep, won't come as a surprise to anyone, but here at Bridge, we're heavily focused on states where Trump came close to winning in 2020, and where Republicans have focused on the big lie and other conspiracy theories to claim falsely that he did win. He did not. So that's Georgia, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, and a few others.
Pennsylvania doesn't actually elect their Secretary of States directly, so our work there is focused on the gubernatorial race, right?
Yep, correct. And I'm sure we'll come back on here to discuss that race more later because it's a mess. But let's talk more about these Secretary of State races. We've got some Oppo to talk about. Is there a race in particular where you're keeping a close eye on developments there that we can dive into?
I'm so glad you asked, Alex. Can you tell me about Christina Caramo in Michigan? Because I hear she's a legit candidate. In fact, she's the Republican nominee running against Democratic incumbent Jocelyn Benson in November.
Yep. She's a QAnon conspiracy theorist who's laser focused on not just overturning the 2020 election. She actually had a job attempting to do just that, but on rigging 2024 in Trump's favor so that he's guaranteed a White House return.
So she's Trump's favorite, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, you could say that again. Check out this video of her and Trump at a Michigan rally a few days ago. It's pretty clear where the two of them stand.
This is about making sure Michigan is not rigged and stolen again in 2024.
I have to think that there's a big problem with the Republican Party's hyperfixation on Trump. Caramo is so obsessed with the big lie and conspiracy theories that Republicans should be worried about alienating the exact voters they need to turn out in November.
Exactly. This isn't a person who Oppo researchers like our team at American Bridge have to do a lot of digging to find dirt on. This is someone who graphically talked about sex acts on her podcast multiple times.
So what you're saying basically is that Caramo is someone who might have been disqualified from broader support in the Republican Party as recently as 6 years ago, but today extremism is not just the norm, that's the GOP.
Yeah, I say that's the case. And as kind of nuts as Caramo is, politically speaking, she's virtually identical to other candidates running for Secretary of State, whether we're talking about Jody Hice in Georgia or someone like Jim Marchant in Nevada. But we are over time. We could talk about this forever. Julie, what's the solution here?
Again, so glad you asked. Earlier this year, American Bridge 21st Century launched Bridge to Democracy, a $10 million 2022 midterm and 2024 presidential program focused on election administration races at the state, county, and local levels. Let's let Pat Dennis, our VP of Research, say a little more.
Hey, so our core targets for this project include Republican secretaries of state, attorneys general, governors, county boards of supervisors and boards of canvassers, state Supreme Courts and judicial races, and state legislators across 12 states where a free and fair election is vital for a democratic and legitimate 2024 presidential fight.
And that includes Christina Caramo.
Of course it does. Why else would we know so much about her?
I've listened to so many episodes of her podcast. For one, please stop making me listen to them. They are disturbing.
Well, we listen so that others don't have to, and so we can make sure she never wins that seat or that critical power over our democracy.
All right, fair enough.
Alex, Pat, thanks for joining us on Pardon the Oppo to talk about Christina Caramo, Secretaries of State, and the importance of American Bridge's work defending our democracy. Till next time, and to the Republicans tuning in, remember, we're always watching and listening, so please adjust your mic levels, especially if you're screaming about conspiracy theories. No one likes bad sound quality. Thanks.